Eagles get a big-time win over the Bucs. Here was Nick Sirianni after the game with the crowd of Philadelphia Eagles Johns that were down there in hot-ass Tampa enjoying an ass beating of the Buccaneers by the Philadelphia Eagles on primetime. High-fiving the team in the stands. Listen to him. For those that don't know, Sirianni at one point was actually having flowers and manure thrown at him whenever he was first starting out as a Philadelphia Eagles coach. Now he's beloved by the entire city for good reason. The guy got him to the Super Bowl last year. The guy also happens to have this mentality, I think, that all of Philadelphia resonates with. Because whenever he started as a Philadelphia Eagles coach, he put his foot in his mouth immediately. Had one of the worst press conferences in the history of press conferences introducing a head coach. And all he's done since then, he's put his head down and gone to work and produced. Philadelphia appreciates a good comeback story. They appreciate the fact that he's kind of been knocked down. This guy's been made fun of. They're underdogs, and he goes. And the team that they have, they're undefeated, obviously, this year. I think last night was obviously their best game of the season thus far. Jalen still's got to tighten up a little bit. Jalen Hurts still has to tighten up a little bit. Feels like he's forcing some things, instead of just letting them fly, which will come, I think, over the season. What did you see from the Eagles last night that makes you believe, hey, we're back to the Eagles being the Super Bowl contenders in the NFC?
Man, it's been kind of their foundation. When we had Sirianni on the show, the first thing he said was when he took the job was the trenches on both sides, the O-line and the D-line. And you look at what Jalen Carter, Cox, what those guys are doing up front on defense, and obviously we know how great the offensive line is, and they're smash mouth and gonna run the ball down your throat. And I think Jalen played pretty well. He made some big time throws, extending plays. Delaney, the corner, made an unbelievable interception on one of his 2 interceptions, and the second one was kind of a miscommunication on an option route with Swift. But outside of that, I think he played pretty well. And I still don't think they're playing their best ball yet. 3-0 right now, still not playing their best ball. But in the trenches on both sides, absolute monsters.
Coach Jeff Saturday said this morning on First Take, I believe. He said that some stat along the lines, it was a Hembo stat, of like 460 yards rushing, like 316 or 320 of them are before contact for the Philadelphia Eagles. So that means we're talking big, gaping holes. We saw a lot of those last night with Swift. He was able to get up in there and kind of keep it moving. And Troy Aikman, I think, at one point said, I could run through these holes that are happening. Now, is that more of an indictment on what the Bucs were doing last night, or more of a compliment to the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line? Who cares? It was happening. I love whenever a team is just absolutely, physically demoralizing a team. And that's what the Eagles have done, and that's what they started doing again last night.
And the Bucs are tough in the trenches. When you look at this game on paper coming into it, you would think like, hey, you may have to struggle on both sides of the ball with how tough those guys are up front. But to beat up a physical team like that came into the game undefeated too, you kind of send a message for sure in the NFC.
I feel like we watched when they flipped the switch last week against the Vikings because the offense didn't play well against the Patriots, and then the first couple drives they weren't playing well against the Vikings, and then they got booed by their home crowd, and they decided to run it, I think, 13 times on that drive, like 11 straight plays against the Vikings, and then the last 2 games, that's all they've done. They got back to what they were last year, where they just ran the shit out of it and then play action with Hurts off of it.
Yeah, and the TP, the tush push, certainly something that's going to continue to be successful. I was watching that last night down on the goal line. Yeah, this was the one. It has to hurt so bad. They show Jason Kelce getting up from the bottom of this thing, and he's just like slowly. Here we go. 92 percenters is the name of the fans of New Heights. That's because that's the percentage of this particular play working for them. And he's right in the middle of it. I mean, this is basically the guard, center, guard play. Hey, you want to spotlight the middle of your offensive line? The tush push is it. And they are very successful at it. So I think whenever people call for it to be banned or something along those lines, Peter King, Devon A. Chan, Peter King with the breaking news there. I heard Jason Kelce talk about that, saying, well, I just saw some other team try it, and it didn't work. I just saw Some other team try it, it didn't work. I feel like there's a chance that Jason Kelce and the boys feel like, oh yeah, it looks easy, huh?
Yeah.
This just looks easy to be able to be bent down in a 4-point stance, snap a ball cleanly to a guy, get your hand back down, and then have to move 330 pounders that are lined up right over top of you. So easy. Yeah, it's just a guarantee, huh? That's what everybody thinks. And then you actually watch it. Jalen Hurts getting pushed from behind. He's in the middle, and Goddard's getting pushed. And then Lane Johnson at one point, look, Goddard's like, get the hell. I mean, that is just a mass sea of discomfort, I think, for the Philadelphia Eagles. And they sign up and do it more regularly and more successful than anybody in the history of the game. But none of those positions look like they're fun. I just want to let that be known.
To Kelsey's point too, this was the second time they did it to play before this, and they got stopped. So like,
again,
right.
You actually saw Sirianni's head go. You know, where see if they can do it again. See if they can stop it again. And then Kelsey's like, here we go. Them pulling him off from the ground. Now let's talk about the other Kelsey. You know, because Kelsey Swift last night,
Man,
dominant.